Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Take Back My Brain podcast, where we nourish your brain to heal your life. I'm your host, Laurie Hammer. And today I have with me the most amazing woman. Her name is Dr. Carolyn Flanary, and I have known her for a few years now, and she blows me away. So I cannot wait to have this conversation with you. We're going to talk about why quantum biofeedback should be your superpower. And we're going to get kind of deep into this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So those of you wanting to understand what the heck is quantum biofeedback, what is bioenergetic therapy, we're going to talk about that today. And Carolyn is the founder of the Quantum Bioenergetic Academy, also the Oxygen Regenerative Therapies. And this crazy lady ran the busiest orthodontic clinic in San Antonio, and she quit it to save lives. So, Carolyn, welcome to the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lori. We go way back.
We
So
do.
this is really fun to be here with you. Yeah, and this topic is so pregnant with timeliness. Uh,
Yes.
as we find ourselves today, we could not be in a more toxic environment. And if you're talking about taking back your brain, well, my goodness, you better figure out what root causes are causing that brain not to thrive. Uh,
Exactly.
Yeah, the great thing is that quantum biofeedback, quantum bioenergetic feedback can actually assess that for you. It can technically do what I call a bioenergetic lab test. I actually trust that more than, and this is a shocking statement, more than something like Vibrant America, Great Plains Lab. They quantify things, but I'll tell you what. You cannot fool frequencies.
Frequencies don't lie, right, Carolyn?
Frequencies, yes, that is actually a quote of mine. They don't hide and they can't lie. They don't have any political persuasion and they are not politically correct. They just show up and tell you the way it is. And this is the most shocking thing to me. I would never have believed, say, 10 years ago, that I would be doing this, that I would be experiencing this. Um, so this has been a real eye opener, big time, as to the power that anybody can wield with quantum bioenergetic feedback. And oh my goodness, my goodness. And possibly people are thinking, well, how does that even work?
Right.
And the reason it works is because we're frequency beings. We've been treated in this country, we've been mistreated in this country as a bunch of chemicals by
Hmm.
pharma. And antibiotics have been nice, but some of the other things not so nice in recent times. And the thing is, really, we frequency will always precede the physical manifestation of anything. And it is so shocking that I see that again and again and again. Um, and the great thing is, it gives us incredible power, incredible insights that we would never have otherwise without it. And even today, Lori, think about this. As far as discovering the molds that you have in your
Hmm.
body, how would you do that? Well, there are companies out there,
Yeah.
the former Great Plains Lab that now is Mosaic Labs, they can do it with a urine test. And the thing is, though, you can literally every minute of every day determine it bioenergetically with an iMate quantum biofeedback machine. That technology is astonishing, astonishing, and and that really is powerful.
Right.
I'm not saying those other lab tests aren't good to maybe quantify it so you can test as you're following a client, a patient, as you can test them to see, is this being effective at
Hmm.
removing the mold? Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know
Oh,
quantifyingly
right. Hmm.
wise to do that. But in general, just to know, hey, mold is a big issue for you, or hey, Lyme is a big issue for you.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so what?
I was
Sorry.
going to say, let's take a step back and because most people maybe listening, they're like, I don't even know what do you mean by quantum and what do you mean by biofeedback? Could you kind of tease that out for us before we kind of get into the weeds a bit?
Okay, so Here's the thing. I have made a statement that all of us are frequency beings. We're
Yes.
frequencies for sure. We have a biofield around us that extends out at least 5 feet in a perimeter around us, kind of like a donut shape around us. And it is our specific signature of us, who we are. No one else has
Kind of
that.
like a fingerprint. It's a
It
like
is
it's a frequency fingerprint.
exactly an energetic fingerprint. So the cool thing is that you very much like the equipment. How does it identify you? Well, very similarly to the way a phone identifies you. So I'm in Greece on vacation, and my office staff calls me there. Thank God, because there was an issue and I needed to answer the phone. But how did it find me there? You could say that, how does that work? Well, there aren't any wires really there.
Right.
It's wireless, but it's a frequency and it finds my phone has a number. Okay, so we all have our number, our energetic number, and how that's entered into the piece of equipment that is technologically suited to do this is by your name, your date of birth, your place of birth, your address, your email, your phone number. There's nobody else on the planet that has all those specific things
Right.
all in common other than you. So it energetically finds the being that is that person. And it's almost like, in a way, you could also say, well, how do these frequencies work, where you can assess these frequencies. So let's say you've got a radio and you're trying to find a station, but you're on a lot of static.
Right.
Okay. So in the energy world, that would be discongruency. It would be lack of congruency, lack of you might equate it to lack of health. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to get into a healthy perspective, you would tune the channel to get that perfect frequency, that perfect clear sound. Sound is
Right.
a frequency, but that perfect clear sound that is you in health. So you out of health, you're incongruent, you have static until you turn the dial and cause that harmonization of that sound to now be like an orchestra, like, a classical concert or something, where you get goosebumps because the sound is so amazing. Well, the sound is you. You are
Right.
it is you, and it is you coming into health. And you can literally take these incongruencies that are literally disease. Illness is nothing more than lack of coherency in the frequencies in our body. All disease forms literally have a frequency. So either you're resonating with health or you're resonating with a disease frequency. And can you throw energy at that disease frequency to flip it?
Right.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. And that's
Yes,
called
you
quantum
can.
physics.
Yes, and that goes into, actually, it's a spooky phenomenon per Albert Einstein. It's that crazy thing, right?
Right. Nikola Tesla. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. There's lots of crazy stuff out there, but it is really, really amazing. And you and I were talking before we got on the podcast. You're like, because I've had, even before I knew you, I had experience with quantum biofeedback. So if you've not listened to my podcast on the cancer diagnosis I had and how I was completely healed from that, make sure you go back and listen to that in episode 1. But I was radically healed from the cancer, but I needed to know why. Why did I get cancer in the first place? And so I was led to this particular practitioner. His name is Dr. Mark, and he had a quantum biofeedback machine. And so, because people didn't believe me that the cancer was gone, for one, and then we had to figure out why. And so my girlfriend Julie, she's like, he can tell you if it's still there or not. And I said, okay, because I already believed that it wasn't, but I wanted, like concrete proof here, right? Because there was nothing in the medical establishment that could say, nope, it's not here anymore. They're like, yeah, it's probably there. We just can't see it, kind of thing. Anyway, so I went to him and he ran this quantum biofeedback on me. And he's like, I don't see cancer. I don't see cancer. And then we could identify, was there yeast overgrowth? There's definitely heavy metal issues. I had antibiotics in my body from decades ago. He's like, did you have Accutane? Yes, I did. He's like, well, it's still in you. You know, I mean, so there's all this toxic buildup in my body that expressed itself and kind of led to this cancer diagnosis. And so when, you're like, I don't understand all this. Well, you don't really need to completely understand it other than that we were created from our Heavenly Father and He is full of frequency. And so He created us with frequency, and color is frequency, sound is frequency. Your hair is a different frequency than the tabletop, than your dog, than your horse, than whatever it might be. But we're all frequency. We have a frequency around every single cell. I mean, it's kind of like I think about Carolyn and all of a sudden Carolyn calls me. I'm like, hey, I was just thinking about you. That was a frequency between her and I that she's like, I think I'm going to call Laurie right now. Right. Or you just get a bad feeling about somebody. That's a frequency. And so that's what we're talking about today. So I don't want to steal your thunder or anything, Carolyn, but I just really
No,
wanted to throw that story in there
right on.
because it had such an impact on me. It really opened my eyes and took my health to a deeper level when I was exposed to this quantum biofeedback.
Right. And it is astonishing what you can do with it. What always freaks me out is how it deals with emotions.
Right?
Well, it deals with everything, all the
Right.
way down to genes, specific genes. It can, everybody's so worried about having a mutation in a gene. Well,
Right.
that's nothing. Are you kidding? You can take care of that in seconds.
Right.
That's
We get all caught up in
minutes.
rabbit trail on that
No,
stuff.
I
We
know,
don't
and
need
it's
to.
just it's so nothing. It's such a nothing thing in the world of quantum biofeedback because or lactose intolerance. With one treatment, you can eliminate that. I mean, what?
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, really. Not kidding. Not kidding. Yes, really. But really, the emotional piece of this, because 80% of all chronic illness is related to emotional blockage. And so many of us don't realize this. I mean, I actually I've created an emotional cocktail that will upregulate you in most amazing ways. And that is literally a little of this, a little of that, a little of that frequency, which would be unconditional love, forgiveness, spiritual healing, a sense of fun, and laughter. You give that to somebody, and you're going to have some fun with that person for the rest of
Right.
the night.
Right.
Instead of all these freaking hang-ups. So anyway, no, I mean that's a cool thing. But there are many, many, and at the moment I actually teach an academy where I teach people how to do complex things with people, or determining. So many people with chronic illness have no way of knowing, the root cause of that. So the
Right.
right thing is we can actually determine and listen to these root causes that we can literally hone into what is doing it. So that would be mold, parasites, Lyme, viruses, bacteria, fungus, which means candida,
Mhm.
radioactive elements, and radiation. That's a huge one. EMF
Huge.
is a
Right.
huge one that magnifies the mold issue through the roof because it so aggravates those organisms that they are producing microtoxins so much more. And of course, the problem with mold is it masks the immune system. But back to
Right.
this list. So we're down to agricultural toxins, industrial toxins, and vaccines, and deficiencies in
Hmm.
literally nutrition, like your minerals,
Right.
your vitamins. I mean, these things are essential for you to even create energy for healing. And so many people are deficient; they don't know it. You could so easily find it out in a push of a button in a bioscan. Bam, it's on a screen and you've got it any time of the day or night. So these things really become a major issue to the healing process, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because, like we were talking before, you're saying mold. Like last year, I called Carolyn because I was sick, and I think we still have mold in our house, but like nothing shows up like if we're testing, you know. And I called her and I'm still so sick, and she was running some scans on me. She's like, "You still have mold. You've got mold in your house. You got to get out of that house. You got mold in your house. You got to fix this." And so that was great because then it really confirmed what I knew already in my spirit that we still had mold and I was still sick. And so it can be very diagnostic, which is really fun because you spend thousands upon thousands of dollars in testing, and I like doing that testing for people. It is helpful. It's like a piece of the puzzle and stuff. But this takes things to the next level, and the beautiful thing is that you can have this in your own home, right?
Right. And it's very economical for a mama bear to own who's got maybe an autistic child or maybe a sick parent, a grandparent, of
Yeah,
it's got so many people I know who have bought iMates, honestly, that once people realized the power that wields, and the whole family started, oh, can you iMate me today? Finally, they said, I am trying to IMate myself and you're in my way because I keep having to IMate you and all yours. So get your own for goodness sakes. And the great thing is it's actually economical enough to where really anybody could do it. Anybody could afford one, and there's financing. It's great, and it should be. My honest belief is, usually women are the mama bears. You don't
yes,
mess with the kids. You don't mess with the parents. You don't mess with anybody. When that mama bear is riled up, you better get out of the way. But here's
exactly.
the great thing. That nurturer, that woman who literally has the scanning eyes on her whole family and the heart to do it, a woman in every family. I'm going to say that's a little, I'm sorry, guys can do it too. I'm not ruling out papa bears, but I'm just saying it is so,
Generally speaking, mama bears
yeah,
are, yes.
it is meant for a woman,
Mhm.
to really sit there, have the patience, have the fortitude to really dig in and find it out. And again, guys are learning this too. It's not like it's for women only, but for goodness sakes, women are very motivated to fix their babies. You
Yes.
don't mess with those babies. And literally themselves, I mean, they need to be well enough to provide for their family, to do things. I mean,
Yeah.
they really are the backbone of many families, especially single
Oh yeah,
moms.
we're the heart of the home. Us mamas are the heart of the
Yes,
home. That's why I have the Call Mom Academy. That's why I work with mamas because when you work with the mom and they feel balanced and they feel healthy, that just
yes,
trickles out to the rest of the family, right? And so,
absolutely.
yeah. And so this is just another tool. And so can you kind of tell us, well, one, your iMate is the device, correct?
Yes.
Right. And so can you tell us a little bit about, just give us a short little synopsis of it.
Well, it literally comes as a laptop.
Okay.
So it is a software program that does not use the internet, which is amazing. You don't need the
That is
internet.
amazing
Yeah,
because
if the
with
internet went
everything that's
off,
going on, like if the grid went down,
who cares? It doesn't matter. You could even check in with loved ones to find out how they are, particularly emotionally. You
hmm
would know how a person is doing by iMating them remotely, and it is a remote device, which is also even more astonishing that it's a remote device that you can use it remotely and nobody has to be hooked to it. I mean, there is a model that's a pro model for practitioners that does have a harness that you can be physically connected to the machine.
sure,
Do you need to be connected to the machine?
you do
Heck
not.
no. I mean, I have done that in the past because people, I don't know how that works. They're doubting it. So for doubting Thomas, can you hook him up to the machine? Well, yeah,
100%.
that's ridiculous. It's not necessary in any way, any shape or form. And you know what is really cool is being able to iMate a pet. So
hmm
here's a pet that doesn't know, it can't tell you what's wrong with it. You know what's going on. I mean, lately I've been iMeeting so many pets. And the interesting thing, the pet is kind of down and out, not eating, not doing this, no energy, blah, da, 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 da. I wind up running treatment baskets and various energetic, upregulating the energy of the animal. And the animal promptly gets up. I mean, this is real time
Right?
happening. Gets up, goes outside, and starts doing zoomies in the yard. A 17-year-old dog that hours before her owner was thinking, oh my gosh, she's gonna be dead meat here in a minute. I think she's dying. Lucy's over the top,
Right?
dying. And Lucy goes out and does zoomies. Within the hour of my doing this, it's totally working.
Right.
Um, and the thing is, an animal cannot do placebo things. I mean, it
No,
either work, there's no way that animal is going to fake it. I mean,
no,
you
I
know,
know. I have a little biofeedback device, which is nothing like what Carolyn is talking about. Mine is just a very basic, it doesn't dig into a lot of things. But I can run it on my horses. I like to take it to the barn. And so I'll just start running, a session on my horses and they'll start yawning and stretching and then, they're relaxed and then they have a different attitude towards you. Or I also have a quantum laser which is different than a biofeedback. When we're talking about frequencies and pets and stuff and how it's not placebo effect, I would turn my laser on in my house, and my older cat, who's no longer with us because she was very, very old, but she would come and lay on it. Like she would
yeah.
find it, right? And so our pets are so in tune. So all the skepticism that we have going on in our human brains, when you're working with animals, they just accept the frequency. If it's a good frequency, they will accept it and they will want it and they will want more and they'll be attracted to it. We had an older horse and I would just start running biofeedback on him and he would literally come over to the machine to it,
Yes,
knowing that that's where it came from. And he didn't, I mean, I didn't say, hey, Louie, I'm running the biofeedback on you today. But he would go from the other side of his pen to right where I was and he put his nose on the biofeedback machine. So it is really powerful. So kind of like I would love you to address like skepticism, Carolyn, because being a Christian and in the Christian world, there's a lot of people who are very scared of frequency, especially when we're talking about quantum physics. Could you maybe speak to that a little bit?
okay, so let's just think about, how was the world created in the beginning? It was
God spoke.
spoken into existence. What does that mean? Speech is frequency.
Amen.
Totally. I mean, that is so, yes. Are we both Christians? Yes, we are. Is this antithetical to Christianity? No way.
No, not at
In
all.
any way. In fact, it's a celebration of God's creation. It's what
Absolutely.
we're meant to be. It's the way we need to minister ourselves because this is who we are. We aren't a pack of chemicals like pharma has treated us.
Right.
That's not who we are. That's why
No,
it doesn't work as well. In many instances,
because you
I
can't
don't mean to.
medicate away a nutrient deficiency. You can't medicate away a bad frequency. Like you have to actually
Right.
address those things.
Absolutely. So, and even when you think about, okay, so raising Lazarus from the dead, when Jesus says, Lazarus, come forth, what is he doing? Those are words, frequencies going through the universe to Lazarus, addressing him specifically, the same way an iMate machine would remotely, because he's inside a cave. Keep remembering where he is in
Hmm.
those grave clothes wrapped around him, and he comes trucking right out. Hello. Who did that go to? Well, it went to in you epigenetically, in your body, the genes, the everything that goes in you, the redox signaling molecules that are part of the signaling system, the Wi-Fi system of the body. It is communicating at the absolute smallest possible entity, which is quantum, the smallest element on the in the universe. It is communicating with that and flipping switches, flipping genetic switches, which is what was happening, I'm sure, to that dog because there were some genes that weren't performing in the dog that was doing
Right.
zoomies after,
Yeah.
I mean, after I upregulated some things that had been shut down. It's such a powerful tool. That just so resonates with literally the core of who we are. Yes,
Right.
we're spirit, but we're absolutely frequency beings. And you can tell that because with an EKG and
Right.
EEG, so the heart, the brain, who we are, our heart, our brain, these are emitting frequencies. I mean, if people can't get their head around that, I mean, come on, let's hook you up to a monitor. You can easily see it.
Yeah,
But
and we
the
all have our own frequency imprint, our own,
yes,
frequency
it is.
fingerprint. Yes.
Yes, it is such a signature print too, and such a we're divine humanity.
Yeah.
It's a wondrous thing to conceive of. Um, but anyway, as you think about addressing things with these frequencies and how literally you can quantitatively, I have a minimalist scanner in my office, and we had done a study on a guy who was not doing all that well, a lot of chronic illness, and I worked with another gal in Boise, Idaho. She had access to a Menla through Cellcore, a
Mm.
company there, and she scanned a guy before we ran frequencies on him. Literally, in the brain panel, we were running two things. We were harmonizing the right left halves of the brain to provide neuroconnectivity in that brain. So the right and left are now talking to each other. We did that frequency. Then we did the limbic system. And those two things together, the limbic system literally engaged the vagus nerve. So prior, we had a Menla scan of all the organs that were not connected to the brain. So
That's
that
awesome.
vagus nerve, that connectivity was really being challenged. And this guy had lots of issues going on. We ran those two frequencies, and an hour later reran the Menla scan on him, and everything had gone to excellent. It's
Wow.
crazy. It had gone the communication in his body with almost every organ in his body was challenged. And that actually is um, is a report. I don't know if you can see this in
Yeah, a little
my
bit. Yeah.
book,
Uh-huh.
a book that I've written on
Yes.
Resonate, the quantum biofeedback revolution. This is a fun, cool book of 20 stories. But in this, it talks about in 1 hour that was quantitatively flipped, and everything was connected to everything
Right.
in such a short period of time. So that is like a 5 minute procedure to do to somebody, and all of a sudden you've just drastically changed that person.
Right.
It's
Right. So
wild.
does this take the place of like other testing? Does it take the place of a healthy diet? Does it take the place of supplements? What do you think?
No, no, no. Of course, you still
Okay.
got to do all those things. No, it's not going to do that, but it is going to identify a lot of things that you need to know. But
Awesome.
I will also say that let's say you had a vitamin B12 deficiency. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have enough vitamin B12. Somebody can say, well, I take vitamin B complex. Why don't I have enough vitamin B12?
Right.
The reason is because there's probably a couple of genes that aren't working. One would be the APL gene is a gene that literally helps the metabolism of B12. If that gene is turned off on you, you actually can see it in the scan.
That's
There,
so cool.
there,
Yeah.
yes, and then all you do is you literally put in a treatment basket the B12, you put in the treatment basket the gene, and there's another gene too called the I think it's the PNOP gene, and that is another gene that is responsible for upregulating B12. B12 is such an important
Right.
vitamin, my God,
Yeah.
and just is a cofactor for so many things that give us energy. It's no wonder people struggle with that. But so that so easily can be addressed um, energetically. So essentially, it's like you could literally give people I call it the B blast. I take all the B vitamins, put them into a treatment basket, and I just boom, I load them up with B. And the good thing is that when these are put in a treatment basket, it upregulates all the genes that are impacting the metabolism of that thing.
That's awesome.
So the great thing is all of a sudden neurologically they've got great neuroprotectivity from B complex, but all of a sudden they're just really energized.
Right.
Whoa. Yeah,
Right.
that's a jolt. I mean, boom.
Right. Right. Boo. Right. So you can affect methylation genes. You can affect all those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So easy, easy. And detox genes too. Many detox genes on people are turned off and they don't even realize.
right? Because you wonder, I've been
Yeah.
doing this for years and years and years and years and years, and why can't I detox? Why are my heavy metal levels still so high, right?
Yeah.
It
There
could
you
be
go.
genetically, could be genetic.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in those liver enzymes that need to be upregulated in your phase two of your liver detox.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
To see
Oh my
why people
gosh.
are 50. You need to look those up.
A
I
lot
know
of
you need
gene
to.
kind of like over the head talk here, but just go with us, people. It's great. It's really great. Yeah. So, what would be a couple of your most amazing stories that you've dealt with thus far with the iMate?
Oh, wow. I think the most amazing one is actually portrayed in chapter one of my book. And that
Okay.
is when I had a friend call me on a Sunday morning. And he said to me, and fortunately, I already had him on my iMate. He says to me, he's in Connecticut and I'm in Texas. And he says, Carolyn, I'm at the cardiologist's office and no one is here and somebody needs to see me. I feel like I have an elephant's foot on my chest.
Oh my.
And I'm thinking, oh my God. Oh, he's having a heart attack. Oh my gosh. And anyway, so as he's talking, I'm saying, well, Larry, it is Sunday morning. Nobody's gonna be, I mean, he's delusional. He's losing
Uh-huh.
it because he's not thinking clearly. And even as he's talking to me, I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And so I tell him, Larry, as I'm running to my dining room table where I have my iMate open, I'm zooming in on him. I'm zooming in on the heart panel and in him. I've already gone in, I've calibrated him as I'm talking to him, but I'm telling him, Larry, you've got to find a hospital near me. And he was visiting his sister and did not know the city that well, but had gone to a cardiologist, so he knew the track to get there, the directions to get there, but he didn't know where the hospitals really were.
Ah,
So he's trying to fiddle with his phone while he's talking to me. And anyway, I'm becoming more and more. Anyway, I wind up running the brain panel. I do a bioscan of his heart. And what comes up at the very top? The SA node, which is the pacemaker for the heart.
right?
And it is like in blood red. The very first item comes up in red. The
Uh-huh.
second one was the mitral valve. The third one that was in yellow. The next one comes up in blue, and that was the left ventricle, which is literally pumping blood to the body. So
Right?
the brain, everything. So he's like losing it because he is, things are not working. His
Right.
lub dub in
His
the
love was not dubbing.
yeah, his lub dub was not lub dubbing. When you listen to a heart, it sounds like lub dub. That's what I'm talking about. For those of you who've never listened in a stethoscope, it goes lub dub, lub dub.
Right.
Well, yeah, his lub dub was not lub dubbing. Um, but anyway, so I was really frantic, and I kept saying, Larry, stay with me. Are you there? Are you there? And I mean, it was so frightening. Once I had those three things up, the red, yellow, blue frequencies that were up at the top on that scan, freaking out, I immediately started a feedback session on those three things. And
Yeah.
as it was going through, I was watching to see what percentage of rectification was happening on each one of those as it cycled through. And in the meantime, I'm trying to say, Larry, stay with me. Are you there? Are you there? I mean, he was not answering me. And I'm thinking, my gosh, he's in a parking lot, an empty parking lot on
Right.
Sunday in Connecticut somewhere. I didn't even know the city. I'm thinking,
Uh-huh.
oh my God, I don't know what to do. And I keep saying, are you there? Are you there? Quiet. And it keeps running, and I'm seeing it, and I'm praying. I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope Einstein and Tesla were really right. Oh, please, Lord, let it be so that they knew what they were talking about.
Right.
And actually, Tesla was quite a man of God, by the
He
way.
was.
I
Yes.
love him. Oh, I love him. But anyway, as it turns out, all of a sudden there is a stir, and he goes, Carolyn, the elephant's foot is gone.
Oh,
And I'm thinking, Larry, I am gonna freaking kill you. If I could get my hands on you right now, I already told you to go to the cardiologist. I mean, I am so mad. I am thinking, you completely almost gave me a heart attack. But he answered, and it
wow.
was good. And literally it was like I had taken electrical pulses on it,
Wow.
where they take, they do that with people having heart attacks.
Right.
I had done it energetically remotely from Texas.
All the way
and
to Connecticut.
all the way to Connecticut. And I bet you anything, if he had gone into a hospital and had labs done, it would show you the enzymes that would have shown you
Sure.
the guy had a heart
Heart
attack.
attack. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I reversed it right. I mean, it's unbelievable, unbelievable.
Frequency is
So
powerful. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that is, well, there's more to the story than that, but that is the beginning of the book.
That
That
is
that
fantastic.
vignette right there is the beginning of the book, and that's super cool to think that you could actually pull somebody out of the abyss,
Yeah,
literally, and keep them
literally. Yeah.
alive. Yeah, I mean that's a life-saving thing that happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, makes
Absolutely.
me cry.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, how do people find you?
Okay, well, my website's the best way, and that is my Q as in quantum, B as in bioenergetics, academy.com.
Okay, that'll all be in
By,
the show notes too.
pardon me?
I said I'll put that in the show notes too.
Oh, that's super sweet.
Yes.
Thank you. And really, all of it's there, all about this
Okay.
technology. I mean, everything you could ever hope to know. And also on that website is a downloadable ebook. And I actually think if you want in, your, once they get there, you might say that you can get a free ebook download, and it goes over so many things that would just defy imagination about quantum feedback. It's amazing. This ebook is just pregnant with information.
Yeah, it's a
So I think it'd be
fantastic
fun.
book. So, everyone download that book as well. So, that link will be in your show notes as well. And then, anything else you want the listeners to know?
Um, I really challenge women out there. I want to say weapon up. Weapon up, because today you don't know what's going to happen next. And would it not be a great idea to be able to access your peeps, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
peeps
Yep.
bioenergetically, remotely, when you need to, when you're worried about them and yourself? And
Mm-hmm.
even assessing and addressing, being able not only to assess something and figure out what it is, but then wielding frequency at that in very, very precise ways. Energetic precision is what it is.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I would just challenge, hello, Mama Bear out there. I think you need to be thinking twice about this.
Right.
And I think also, were you not going to put on your link maybe a way where they could actually, I think you might be able to provide them a discount if
Yes, yes,
wanting
we're
to
going to
take
have
the
that on there as well. If anyone is interested
yeah,
in purchasing an iMate, that'll be in the show notes as well. So make sure you check
yeah,
that out because it's one of those devices that every home should have. You just really every home should have one. So yeah, so many
it's
things you can
awesome.
figure out without needing to go to the powers that be to tell you what's wrong with you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very powerful.
For sure. Oh my gosh, Carolyn, this has been amazing. I thank you so much for taking time to chat with me and my audience. We appreciate you
Oh,
immensely.
love you. You're awesome.
Thank
So,
you. And thank you, everyone, for listening to the podcast. Make sure you nourish your brain so you can heal your life. And I will see you in the next episode.